Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I'm your host, Charles. Along with me, as always, my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, gunner, navigator, orator, and podcasting associate, Jacob Gloth. How you doing today, Jacob?
I am swell, Charles. Excited to be back to the podcast. We have new TV shows every single week. New worlds, characters, and thrilling stories all packaged into these exciting little shows and films that we come up with. And I'm excited because it is my turn this week, and you gave me a new title, which was...
Hardly Worth the Effort.
Exactly. And this, I had a lot of trouble with this one, I'll be honest. I spent almost the entire week just saying this word, like this phrase, over and over and over again. Hardly worth the effort. And just like on my commutes to and from, around the city, just, when I'm biking or walking, I'm just like thinking of this phrase over and over again, trying to come up with something. And I didn't come up with anything until this morning. So It's a fresh idea. I've got it all in my head right now. And basically, the idea is that you're following a small-town boy in a steampunk industrial age as he heads to the big city to try and make his millions. So this is like a Horatio Alger's one of the guy that had all those books where essentially this would happen, where they would it was just like a kid would go to the big city and make a bunch of money and succeed in life, like the American dream kind of is what he would do. This is not exactly that. So, the city itself is called Carthago. It's this massive industrial city full of grand inventions. Again, steampunk, so think like, crazy steam stuff everywhere. Like lots of trains, lots of factories. Carriages,
presumably. Top hats, monocles, possibly.
Yes, very Monopoly Man kind of situation. Lots of suits, lots of soot, lots of extreme poverty and extreme wealth. So a little similar to your show you did last week. So our main character, his name is Beck Steer. Beck is a young, educated farm boy who dreams of the big city. I'm gonna go right into the show, and we'll introduce the characters as we get into it, because it mainly focuses around Beck. So he's the kid you need to know.
Yeah.
All right. So we open up. Beck is packing a small bag in his room, and he slips out before his parents notices. And he's walking along this farm road. And as he's walking, we hear this narration over his journey through the fields as he's like waving to people in this sort of very pleasant rural area. And he says, "My parents would not understand. It's better this way for me to slip out, leave as if I was never even here. If I told them, they'd only try and make me stay. Another year, they'd say. Wait until after the harvest. And then my mother's tears and my father's frown would wash away all my hopes and dreams. I'd be stuck in this little farmhouse, tilling the fields until I'm buried in them. No, it's better this way. Easier. I must leave this small town, find my own way in the world, work myself into something, make my millions in the big city, and find the dream that my father and his father left behind." And as he finishes this little monologue, and we're watching him walk along this nice little dirt road, he spots this strange-looking, wiry man in very nice clothing walk out onto his porch for a cup of coffee. And Beck smiles and waves, and then the guy waves him over, and the man greets Beck and asks if today is finally the day, which Beck nods to shyly. He says, "Don't worry, I won't be tattling to your folks. It's about time you made a name for yourself. Carthago is a great city, a place of wonder and excitement. I know for certain that within a year, you'll be bigger and more famous than I ever was. Heck, you might even follow my footsteps and run for mayor." And Beck laughs and thinks this is... The political dream's a little delirious, because this man that he's talking to now is Ricardo Esperanza, the former mayor of Carthago who left after a scandal involving him and the interns. He's a very jolly guy who dotes on Beck and wants him to succeed.
Oh.
And, he's excited for Beck to leave, very thrilled about him, making his way in the world. But Beck laughs about this political thing and says that he wants to be an industrialist, like Shohei Suzuki, the great inventor businessman who's kind of the most famous guy in Carthago right now, and has this very massive company and owns, so much of the land. He even owns this small town that they live in right now and leases the land to the people that are farming and everything. So he, dreams of becoming this guy, especially since Shohei Suzuki has this reputation. He started off as a factory worker and worked his way up all the way through the chain of the business until he became the director, in charge of everything, the owner.
Climb a corporate ladder.
Now, this is this little monologue by Beck about how great Shohei is prompts a great hearty laugh from Ricardo, who then gifts Beck a coin purse to get him started in the big city. And Beck tries to refuse it because, this is a lot of money and he doesn't want to, he wants to make a name for himself, doesn't want someone to help him. But Ricardo clarifies, like, oh, it's an investment. And in a while when, you're in the city and you're doing well, I'll come and visit you and you can pay me back then. He's like, okay. He agrees and he sets off. And now on his way, he visits Fei Lin, who's his childhood best friend. Also, clearly there's a little bit of a relationship growing between them, budding. They're both still quite young, so nothing really going on. But Fei's really sad that he's leaving and agrees to visit him once he's settled in, and they'll write to each other. And he tells her to send her post to this fancy hotel in the big city because before long he's going to be staying there, and he can he'll write to her from there. And so he's very confident, and she loves this. She's all excited. And Beck gets to the train station, boards this big hulking steam train. He's like shuffling through the cabins, trying to find his seat, which is like all the way back in back of the train because he's got the cheapest thing he could afford. But as he's going through, he runs into this industrialist named Jose, who he helps with his bags. And he's like, Jose's like, oh, you're a nice sweet fellow. Like, come on, you can hang out with me in my cabin. So in this Jose instantly takes a liking to Beck and invites him to his cabin, and they're having lunch and drinking and looking out the window, and Beck pours out all of his naive hopes and dreams to this guy who's very impressed by the young boy's very bright attitude and is kind of buttering him up, being like, oh, it's nice that you want to work hard and work your way up just like Shohei Suzuki, which Jose also laughs at. He finds it funny that he wants to be just like Shohei Suzuki. And
this guy, I'm suspicious of this guy. I got my suspicions.
That might be the point. So Beck is all excited, pouring out all of his hopes. Jose is interested and finds it interesting that he wants to start off as a factory worker and work his way up. But is encouraging him. And so as they're going in, they're chatting, and Beck's narration takes over as we get our first shot of Carthago as the train comes up to the sprawling industrial metropolis that's freaking massive, full of massive smoky machines, multi-leveled streets, bright, exciting advertisements, and more people than Beck has ever seen in his entire life. And as the train pulls in, Beck hops off with Jose, and the pair go on a tour of the city. First hitting that famous hotel that Beck mentioned, where he then goes in and talks to the concierge, and they let him send a letter to Fei from the hotel. I just got here, the city's great, I'm so excited, I've already met this industrialist, he's gonna show me around, it's really fantastic. And then they go to City Hall, and there's a big great fountain in front of it that has a massive statue of Shohei on it. And they go into City Hall, and they see this massive wall-sized portraits of all the mayors and prominent city council figures. There's a debate going on in city council the moment, which is really fiery and exciting, and businessmen are mulling about all over the place. And Beck will point to the portrait of Ricardo Esperanza, his mentor back home. He mentions oh yeah, that's my I know him, he lives in my town. And Jose's like, oh yeah, I love that guy. He's a classic ruthless politician. Takes what he wants. That whole scandal thing was a shame. What are you gonna do? This city. I think we're heading back to that kind of lifestyle soon. He's like, okay. And Jose will lead him through the rest of the city, finally leading him to the factory district, where the first couple factories they see just seem like these most nice little pristine workplaces with very delighted, hardworking people putting in good work every day, and they seem like they're not being oppressed or anything. But as they go farther along and hit different bars and drink more, the conditions get worse and worse and worse, and the streets get grimier, and the people around are more not as happy and more grumbly and angry, and everything's just getting bleaker and rougher as they go.
Yeah.
No, but Beck's not really noticing this. He's just drinking and having a good time, and we'll see And then, like, the last bar they get to, Beck will go to the bathroom, come back out, and he can't find Jose, and he walks outside looking for Jose, like, shouting his name. And he, like, wanders into the street, and he sees, like, the glint of, the back of Jose's coat talking to these two, like, rough guys. And then Jose will, like, nod and keep walking, and then the two rough guys will approach Beck and just beat the shit out of him. They got, like, pipes and shit, and they're just absolutely knocking this kid to pieces, and they steal his coin purse and all of his things from home. Like, he's got, like, a little pack with him of, like, everything he packed from home, and they take everything he has, and he just leave him beaten and bloody on the side of the street. End of episode 1.
Oofed. Bleak.
Episode 2. Yeah. Beck wakes up in the street. When he got beat up, his eye was smashed, and now he can't see in his left eye anymore. And he's been stripped of most of his clothes, and all of his belongings are gone. He's, like, beaten and bloody and just wandering the streets helplessly asking for help, but is ignored by everyone. And just as he's about to have a breakdown, an old man comes up to him and offers to take him in. The man, puts him up in a room, and his wife cleans Beck up and gets him some food, and they offer to help him find some work. And they get him a job at a local factory where conditions are awful, like absolutely horrible. And but Beck, he's a young kid. He's tough. He's struggling to keep up, but he can do it. And he works hard, long hours all week, just collapsing in bed when he gets home. At this time, he writes to Faye and Ricardo and telling them, he had a really rough start. He was robbed, but he's working now. He's got a place to stay, and things are starting to get better. And he's so delighted when he gets his first paycheck, so finally some actual money that can, help sustain him. And he doesn't have to entirely depend on this couple. But as soon as he gets it, it's instantly taken by the old couple, who tell him that it's going to go towards his final bill. He's like, my bill? He's like, yeah, no, you think you're just staying here for free? Like, us helping you, all the food, the bed, this is all, you got to pay for all this. He's like, oh, okay. And he keeps working and keeps staying there. But he begins to notice that he doesn't have enough money he doesn't make enough money week to week to actually
to pay.
To pay.
Yeah.
He's making about half what he needs to live with these people. And it's clear to the audience that this old couple here is totally screwing him over. Like, he's getting absolutely upcharged for everything, like using water, taking a shower or something that costs money, like, everything. They're charging him for, like, every little thing. They're completely fleecing this kid.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I can't afford to stay here. I'm gonna have to go out in the streets, and I'll pay you back when I can. And so he's just, like, sleeping on the streets, working even longer so that he doesn't have to. He just, like, sleeps by the factory and just works super hard and late nights. But he keeps at it, Charlie. He's not giving up. This is a young small town boy who's gonna work his way up from the bottom, and he's gonna pursue the dream, and he works really, really hard, and he finally works up enough money to pay his bill, constantly writing back to Faye and to Ricardo about how he's really just pulling his bootstraps up. He's working hard. He's doing everything he can, and he finally gets enough money to pay the couple. So he won't have any money at this point, but he'll at least not be broke anymore, and he has a job, or not be in debt anymore. And he's still got the job, so he'll be finally making money for himself to move forward. And as he's going to pay his bill, he's robbed on the way. And all of his money is taken from him. And he is beaten and bloody once again. Just a complete pooling mess on the streets. And he's found by the couple again, who take him in. Except this time, Charlie, he wakes up in a cold bath, where he learns that because he's defaulted on his bill, they're taking his kidney to pay for it.
Of course they're taking his fucking kidney.
Episode end. Episode 3. Beck wakes up in a horrible state in a city dump.
Oh no.
Things are not going well for poor Beck.
They really
He trudges
are.
out of the dump of the waste, more defeated than ever. He's completely naked, by the way, so he just grabs some, like, scraps of clothing. I mean, it's a dump. There's clothing. So he grabs what he can, puts it on. It's just an absolute mess. Smells awful. In pain because, his kidney has been taken by some amateur old couple.
Yeah, these old people with shaky hands. They barely,
Yeah.
they didn't sew him back together,
Yeah. It's really bad. He's missing an eye at this point. He's got a massive scar on his stomach. He's in a really, really rough state, in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Wearing clothes that he just picked up from a dump. It's not going well for him.
No.
So, but as he's leaving the dump, he runs into this guy who's like this older gentleman in a white lab coat, and he's like trying to move this wheelbarrow, and he's like struggling with it. And Beck is like, "Do you need some help with that?" He's like, "Oh yes, that would be fantastic. Thank you so much, son." And he introduces himself, and his name is Dr. Louis Frank, and he's working on this wonderful new medicine that he thinks is going to revolutionize the world. And Beck is like, "Oh, that's cool, whatever." And he helps him push the barrel, and Dr. Frank keeps talking about his work, and it's just he's coming out here to collect certain rare materials that people throw away. It's a lot cheaper if he just comes to the dumps and gets it, because he's tight on. He's got money, but he spends it more on machines, and it doesn't. It's smarter and more clever for him to come out to the dump to collect his material. And and the stuff he's getting is, he says, is like it's kind of hard to find in the street. So the dump is the best place to go. And Beck is like, whatever, he's just kind of sad, but he's listening to this old man helping him push the wheelbarrow.
Beck is a much nicer person than I am, because if I was missing an eye and had just had my kidney stolen, I ain't helping nobody with nothing. I am like walking home.
He's a sweet small town boy, Charlie, just trying to work his way up in the world, just to pull himself up by his bootstraps. So he's kind, and so he's helping this old man. And Frank's talking about his idea, but he's not really sure he can do it by himself. He needs someone that's like young and strong to help him like get the stuff he needs and move stuff around in the lab. And he's like, you're pretty strong and capable. Do you think maybe you could help me out? And Beck's like, yeah, I guess. He's like, oh, that's fantastic. We'll be partners, equal partners. I promise. When we're rich, we'll split everything. And, I'm old myself, and I don't have any family, so when I die, you can have the whole business to yourself. And Beck's like, wow, this is so generous. Thank you, Dr. Frank.
That's very nice. Maybe this city isn't all that bad.
Yeah, maybe not. And so they head back to Frank's lab, and it's actually like it's not like a incredibly nice place, but it's a small, neat place in this little office building. And he has this, like sizable extra supply closet that he's like, we can get you a little mattress and a bed in here and a side table and a dresser and all that stuff. And, you can stay in here. You'll have your own room. And Beck's like, I don't really have the money for that. He's like, no, it's fine. I don't use this at all. You don't have to pay anything. And in fact, I'm going to pay you to be my assistant in the lab. So, you can just put it away yourself. And, now don't worry about like food and stuff. I got some grant money. It's, I'll get even more now that I have an assistant, so you don't have to worry about it, and I'll pay you a little bit, and I'll cover your food, and you can stay here for free. And it's like, wow, this is like really nice, Dr. Frank. It's like this nice doctor is like really helping him out.
Yeah.
And so Beck is, he puts in, he sees that this guy is like being really nice to him, and so he puts in a lot of work for him. He works tirelessly setting up the machines and devices, doing all the heavy lifting, gathering materials. Frank does all the sciencey stuff, with all the vials and stuff and all that kind of things. And Beck really isn't ever in the lab while Frank is working. He's just, he'll set stuff up. He'll go around, talk to like investors and stuff, and he'll help gather and pick up shipments and things and bring it back. But he's not really doing any of the sciencey stuff. And he's paid less he's paid less than he was when working at the factory, but he's no longer paying any rent, and he doesn't have to pay for food either. So he's just kind of slowly putting money away, which is very nice. And he kind of feels like he's working towards something as well, because this business is, this invention, when it's done, they can be making a lot of money. And he writes to Faye and Ricardo about this. They're both so delighted and happy for him. And Faye says she wants to visit him soon. And Faye comes, and she stays with Beck for the first time, and they talk about getting married. And, when Dr. Frank's invention takes off, and in the morning when she leaves, Beck is sad, but he really throws himself into the work and is really focused on just helping Dr. Frank and this future that he can now see. And he kind of feels like he's now... the dream of being Shohei Suzuki is like slowly coming together. He can see it, Charlie. He's like, I've worked myself up from, the dump, met this scientist, or on like this groundbreaking entrepreneurial project that's going to make a ton of money. And, someday when Dr. Franks retires, I'll be able to take over the company. I'll have made a name for myself. He's going to have this dream, he's going to make his millions. And just on the day where Dr. Frank is finally going to test his new revolutionary medicine, Charlie, the lab is stormed by police who arrest them both for the murder of Faye Lynn. Beck is horrified as the police tear apart the lab, revealing Faye's body, which is in the back, being slowly drained of blood and poured into vials. And it's just not just Faye's body. There's tons of bodies back there.
I fucking knew it.
Oh, it's horrible, Charlie. It's really bad. And Beck is terrified to see sees Faye's, your lifeless or near lifeless body, and he's beaten up by police, knocked out, and taken to jail. End of episode 3. Not going well. Not going great for Beck.
This guy's doing a real bad. He's not having fun.
Episode 4.
Yeah.
Beck is beaten several times in jail, and his life is getting worse.
Oh,
and
I knew that was going to happen.
And worse. He's in absolutely kick the shit out. Because all the prisoners, they know he's the guy that's been, like, murdering these girls in the street and putting them in a lab and all this stuff. And he's, like, trying to convince him that he's not this guy and that he didn't know what his boss was doing. But he's, then nobody's going to believe him.
Of course not.
And when he's finally at his lowest, just this red bloody pulp just sitting in a corner in a pool of his own blood and desperation and sadness, Ricardo visits him. Ricardo, the former mayor, his mentor from his small town, visits him in jail and comes up to Beck in this horrible state and asks him if he's made enough money yet to pay him back. Beck says no, obviously. And Ricardo is disappointed. He's like, you've been here for a while. I thought you would have really made a name for yourself by now. And Beck is trying to explain what happened. And Ricardo's like, I thought you were a kid with a lot of spirit, a lot of gumption.
Yeah.
And you've really let yourself down. And Beck's like, I promise, if I can get out of here, I'll do whatever I need to. I'll do whatever you say, whatever will get me out and get me back on my feet, and I'll pay you back as soon as I can. And he's like, okay, well, I guess we got to get you out of jail for that first. And then he goes over and he talks to the guard, and then leaves. And at night, when Beck is, in his bed, just recovering from another day's beating, the cell door opens and he wakes up, and the guard and Ricardo come in with this kid with a sack on his head, and the guard shoves the kid in and then grabs Beck and pulls him out and throws him to Ricardo, who then leaves him out. He's like, who's that? Beck's like, who's that kid? Why did you, how did you take me out? And he's like, oh, well, we couldn't just take you out and leave you. You're kind of involved in a big case, so we had to swap you. But don't worry, that kid was bad. He did some stuff. He's like, oh, what did he do? Like, I don't know exactly. The guard was in charge of picking him. And then Ricardo looks at Beck's face and he goes, ah, shit. And he goes back inside, grabbing a knife. And we hear the screams of the young man. And then Ricardo comes back out with just a napkin and a small round object in that napkin, which then he tosses into the dumpster. And the pair head off. So it's clear that he just took this kid's eye off, because it's like, oh shit, Beck's missing an eye, so gotta clear that. There can't be any issues.
You could have a moment where he goes, they also took my kidney, and the guy goes, oh, god damn it, he goes back in with the knife, he comes out with a different, yeah, that's fine. Wait, was it the left one or the right one? Oh, the left one.
It doesn't matter.
Fine, don't worry about it.
So the pair head off. Ricardo explains as they're walking that he's decided to get back into politics. He's been out of the scene for a while. He thinks things have cooled off. He wants to give it another go, and he wants Beck to join him. And I've been explaining this story a bit long here, so I'm gonna break down this political journey pretty quickly. So as Beck is starts doing campaign work for Ricardo, and he starts off distributing pamphlets and stays in like a very small boarding house and all that kind of stuff, like really grassroots campaign starting off as. And as it goes on for a while, Beck writes back to Faye, who's recovering back home, and writes about I'm sorry about what happened, like I had no idea what he was doing, and But I'm now working on Ricardo's campaign. I'm trying to get myself back on my feet. I'll send you some money when I can. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't. He writes her a lot, and she doesn't write back at first, but eventually she does, and she forgives him and says she knows it wasn't his fault. He would never do that. He's, a good person, all that stuff. And the pair start to rekindle their relationship a little bit. And Beck, he's moving up through the campaign, but Ricardo then switches him. He's no longer handing out pamphlets. He's now delivering packages for him. Mm-hmm. And he keeps doing this. He keeps delivering packages all around the city to some not great areas. He never really knows what the packages are until one day he gets jumped, and a bunch of thugs beat the crap out of him, have him in a dark room, and they crack open the package. And Charlie, it's drugs.
Of course,
Ricardo
it's drugs.
Is running a drug business while running for city council as a way to finance his campaign. So the thugs are working for the other candidate who want Beck to rat out Ricardo. So that, the kid with the drugs is not enough evidence. They want him to fully admit that Ricardo's selling drugs in the city to finance his campaign. But Beck, he's loyal to his friends. He won't do it. And in revenge, Charlie, they take his arm. So this episode ends with them pulling out with a little handsaw and
right or
sawing
left
off Beck's arm. It's like, what? What do you mean right or left? All right, left it is. And cut off his arm. End of episode.
Jesus Christ.
And where this show is going, I'm just going to run through what happens. We have this political journey of Ricardo eventually becoming mayor, and Beck is his right hand man. He only has a right hand now, so he can't be the left hand man. So he's working as his secretary, as Ricardo's secretary, always around him, and is also playing the part as a war veteran, because he's so injured now that people think that where did he come from? He's yeah, exactly. So that's kind of being what's being sort of faked for the appearance's sake. Beck is not really up for this, but Ricardo's don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's okay. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
You've almost paid me back. You're almost halfway to paying me back.
Yeah, and he gets this really meager salary because he's still paying back Ricardo. And Beck will bring this up. He'll be like, but surely I paid you back by now. He's like, you're not thinking about interest, son. You got to always think about the interest.
Interest is
and
important.
then think about all I've done for you now, getting you the job. The loans expanded massively. So when I'll let you know. Don't worry. You're my kid. You're my mentee. I won't let you down.
You're
I'll
my
let you know when
boy.
you're done.
Yeah.
So he's really getting this very meager salary, and he's doing all this work for Ricardo, his secretary. He's acting as this showpiece during events and all this kind of stuff. And the way this is going to end, Charlie, is that Ricardo is assassinated, and all of his followers are brought in for a trial and hanged in this sort of Nuremberg proceeding, because Ricardo is this super tyrannical governor who has this iron fist over the city. So he gets a lot of people that hate him really quick, and there's this militia movement that grows up, and they take him out. Funded by all the big corporations and businesses in the city, like Shohei Suzuki, because Ricardo is trying to take power away from them, and they don't like that. But also, the people fucking hate him because he's
an asshole.
Bad guy. So Ricardo gets assassinated, and all the followers go to trial and hanged, especially Beck. So Beck, his trial is just the worst sham trial ever. Everything's totally exaggerated. They even bring up they're stolen valor. They also say he's a war criminal somehow at the same time. So not only is he not a soldier, but he's also a soldier that was a war criminal. He's all this stuff that's made up. They put him in for the drug stuff. They, despite him not knowing, they say that he was the sole guy behind the murder of all those girls that were being kidnapped for that doctor.
Maybe the doctor comes in as a character witness, and he just exaggerates his actions.
Yeah.
He was a monster. I tried to stop him. I did, but he just wouldn't listen.
It was horrible. And then we'll have Jose come in, that young industrialist man. He's like, when I first got to the city, he showed me around, and then he got these thugs to beat me up and take me out for everything I had. And then the old couple who are like, oh my God, we were just trying to help out this young boy, but then he robbed us and took everything we had. He's horrible. his like factory boss talks about how like terrible of a worker he was and stealing from the company. Like everybody he's met in the city so far just disparaging him and lying, and they're all getting paid to do this as well. Like they're getting like a fee to be a witness.
Yeah.
And so all these lies and horrible things are said about him, and he's sentenced to be hanged. And as he's hanged, he passes out immediately, but he doesn't actually die from the hanging, and he wakes up and a slew of bodies in this pile on the edge of the city of all the the lackeys and people that work for Ricardo.
Yeah.
And he's just like, this is the one alive person, and he just stumbles out, armless, eyeless, just this complete wreck of a man. Nothing real left in him, and he's just depressed and sad, and the whole dream of the big city has been ripped out from him, and he trudges slowly out of the city and walks, and he doesn't take the train back. He walks all the way home to his parents' farm, and when he gets to the nice idyllic town that he used to live in, you see that it's now a factory town that's run by Shohei Suzuki, who evicted all of the farmers in the area and built factories.
Yeah.
And this is where he gets a job at this factory. He learns that Shohei never actually worked his way up from the bottom. His dad owned the company before him, and his son, he just like had his son work as a factory worker as young as like PR. And the story has been like,
totally
sort of
blown
like
out of
written
proportion.
up to, yeah, exactly, to make it look like he's this, this perfect dream. And Beck gets a job at the factory, and he works there until he's old and gray. And eventually, one day as he's leaving work, he just falls to his knees and dies in a small field just outside the factory gates. That was hardly worth the effort, Charlie.
Jesus Christ, that is a bleak show.
The wonderful dream of pulling yourself up by your bootstraps in this steampunk city.
Yeah.
I must attribute this idea is largely based off of a short novella by Nathaniel West called "A Cool Million," which is like a satire on the Horatio Alger novels of the American Dream.
Yeah.
Just the complete opposite. You try to do what you try to make your millions, but it's just everything goes wrong all the time to like the most extreme possible ways. It's just horrible.
I think it is very funny that we both did capitalist, anti-American exceptionalist stories, but we kind of swapped. Because I feel like I'm known more for the horribly depressing ending.
That's true. Last week you gave us a bright, possible end, a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And mine does not end with that.
No, it's just a horrible
there is
world.
No light.
And a man is just systematically, emotionally, and physically dismantled.
That's my favorite bit, is the slow destruction of his body.
He just keeps losing limbs. You know what it reminded me of, actually? There's this movie from the 70s called The Phantom of the Paradise. And it's about it's like a play on Phantom of the Opera, but instead of opera, it's like a crazy, glam rock thing. And the main character is this dude who gets his music stolen, and then, he gets put in jail, on trumped-up charges for having crack. And then in jail, he gets his teeth replaced with metal teeth. And then he goes and he tries to, get back at the person who framed him, and he accidentally gets his head squashed in a record press. And it's just no matter what he does, he just gets fucked up. I really like Hardly Worth the Effort. I think that was good. I think it was really fun. Not fun, but fun. God damn.
That's a dark comedy,
Yeah.
Really dark.
It's a black comedy. It was bleak as hell. I like it. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I've been your host, Charles. Along with me, as always, has been my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, gunner, navigator, orator, and podcasting assistant, Jacob Gloth. If you like what you heard here and you want to hear more, please give us a like, a follow, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dog, tell your cat. And remember, we will be here next week with a brand new televisual series that will be titled... How many numbers do I have to pick from?
You have 4, 1 through 4.
2, please.
Oh, this is a fun one. I wonder if you'll get the reference. This is Disco Volante.
Disco Volante. I don't get the
Disco
reference.
Volante. DISCO space volante, VOLANTE. Disco volante is, in Italian it means flying saucer, but that's not why I picked it. I picked it because it is the name of a yacht in a James Bond movie that I watched recently. I think it's Thunderball. It's the name of the main bad guy's yacht. They're like hiding nuclear weapons, and they've got it hidden in this yacht, and off the coast of, like, I think they're in Jamaica. I don't really remember. Or Mauritius, somewhere. I don't remember where it is. Anyway, it's just some, like, island place, and James Bond has to, like, break into this yacht and stop the bad guys. But Disco Volante, that's your title. I don't know what you could possibly do with that. Maybe a James Bond movie. But I think it sounds really cool. It's also the name of a really cool car. If you look up Disco Volante car, Alfa Romeo Disco Volante.
It's also apparently an album from 1995. Oh, that is a cool car.
It's very cool.
I'm gonna make Disco Volante is going to be a show about the secret history of Italy, and turns out Italians are all aliens. They came down from space, and they are like, we love pizza pie. That's what they did. Tony Soprano is Men in Black. Disco
I'm excited.
Volante.
I don't know. I really like this title. I expect something cool. I think you'll have fun with it, though.
I think so too.
If you are also excited for this title, well, you can tune in next week to the podcast and find out what Charlie has come up with. It's going to be good. It's going to be exciting. But that is all for now. Charlie, send us out.
Thank you, everyone, and please enjoy the rest of your beautiful evening, folks. We'll see you soon.